It's Monday's MCN and I hope you're doing well. This weekend has been my birthday weekend. Actually, today is my birthday, Monday the 20th. And yeah, so I've been a bit kind of tied up with stuff. So there's a lot of content I didn't post yesterday, which I thought I'd take a little bit of a break. I'm hoping to live stream later on today, so come on by and say hi. What will I be doing in that stream? Probably catching up. I'm probably 2 weeks away from doing a Necropolis run because we're waiting for Cyber Weekend deals before making decisions, because we've got to get to Valiant. It's either 100% Necropolis or it's see what's in Cyber Weekend deals. I'm not jumping the gun just yet. But in any case, let's get into the show. The first thing is mastery points in Act 4. This is something we talked about a long time ago, back in August, where people were finding issue with the fact of where the changes happened to Act 4, it meant that people lost out on the mastery point. The mastery point went into the completion, but if people had already done the completion, they were then without the mastery point that was meant to come with the exploration, therefore putting a stumbling block and problem to players. This is something that has just gone silent from Kabam's perspective. They did say they would answer against this in September. It is always is, and we did not forget about this until you hear otherwise. You are safe to assume that the previous communications are still true. The team is still working on it. What that will be is still like going into November. People still asking the question, like, they're without that mastery point. I'm not going to say that it's going to be. Is it going to be? Well, I don't know. Is it going to be game breaking? Not game breaking? Again, people still asking this question as a matter of days ago, trying to find out. And I hope that Kabam do see this and, you know, look to get it resolved. We've just seen a new mastery point in the Necropolis, so this does need to be dealt with. But now let's go on to Necropolis and talk about deaths. Deaths in Necropolis. It's a bit of a weird one, I think, at the moment with Necropolis as to the extent of how much people are dying. Do bear in mind, like, if you are taking part in this and want to see something nice from the Road to the Crypt Death Counter Milestone event, then you need people to be bad or play bad, which, you know, isn't necessarily a good thing to say, but at the end of the day, it's kind of, or you need more people to participate in it. We're going to look at some stats in a minute to familiarize yourself with like how these milestones broke down. It's this is something that I've been talking about, and I'll, you know, talk about more next week when we look to compare whether or not it's worth not investing in Cyber Weekend to invest all your units into Necropolis 100%ing. So what do I mean by that? Well, here's the thing. You might be like, oh, well, if I go 18,000 units into Necropolis and 18,000 units into Cyber Weekend, you might be going, well, for 18,000 units, I get an Abyss Nexus Crystal, Tier 6 class Catalyst, 3,000 7-star shards, yada, yada, yada. Everything in this list going down to the bottom. Maybe yes, maybe no. Or at least, I don't know, for 10,000 units, nevertheless. So you kind of go like, okay, well, what's it worth? You know, is it worth then going, investing your units instead into a completion run in Necropolis and not getting quite so much with Cyber Weekend deals? That's the point I was making when I'm making all these kind of like statements about stuff. But you need a lot of deaths. You need 5 million deaths in total for this. How does that really work out with this? It's interesting because, like, over the course of the event's runtime, you hope that you get to 5 mil, because if the player base doesn't get to 5 mil, then in essence we've got a problem, because then we haven't hit like what would be the worth of it. So you take a bit of a gamble with kind of going to Necropolis versus investing your units into Cyber Weekend. But let's have a look where we're really up to. If we're saying, like, theoretically that there's 353,000 deaths, and then what we do is we divide that by, say, let's see what 1,000 people. So if 1,000 people have gone in, you would be like, well, that's 353 deaths per player. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing people kind of like posting about 60 to 70 deaths around about. So we need to kind of like figure out, we need to bring that down. So maybe that's the case, it's not 1,000, it may be something, you know, a bit kind of different. Something like, I'd say 4,000 players have participated in Necropolis if we're kind of saying that 88 deaths around about average per player. That's a lot less than I thought would be participating in Necropolis. You see a lot of videos of people doing it, but at the same time, I'm sure that this will pick up. I'm not saying that, you know, 4,000 in what, what was that, like amount of days, like couple of days, 3 days after the event started. It's still pretty impressive, but the thing is, and it's great that players played well in Necropolis, but you'll need more deaths. If we want to follow on this particular trajectory, then we're going to need a lot more players to die in their Necropolis runs. So you need me, and you need several other players to kind of scrub through it. Because like, if we're talking about, so for the 5 mil points, you'll need, based on 56,818 runs of dying 88 times. I thought about saying like, okay, well, it's 56,818 people. That's not the case, because basically there's 5 runs you'd have to do. So it's like saying, okay, well, that's basically 56,818 runs, so to speak. I should like preface it like that. On a plus side, we do have 8 weeks in order to achieve that, and as well, it's over December, so I suppose you can farm that. Do bear in mind, unit investment into stuff like Banquet Event and Cyber Weekend are going to be really taking a toll on players, so I'm sure there'll be a lot of farming in some naughty places within certain areas of the game. And now onto a hilarious tale of somebody being banned. But I'm going to read the response in a kind of a Matt Berry way, in very what we do in the shadows. People might enjoy this. Dear support representative, I am writing to you with indignation and demand to immediately unblock my account, which has been blocked without prior notice and explanation of the reasons. I am sure that some kind of mistake has occurred, and I have not deserved such treatment. From the very beginning, I have been conscientious user of your service, always following the rules and terms of use, and my feedback has been positive. Now, when my account is blocked, I am deprived of the opportunity to continue using your service, which causes me a lot of irritation and disappointment. I demand that you immediately consider my request for unblocking and take appropriate measures to restore my account. Otherwise, I'll be forced to look for alternative services that will not violate my rights and question my data. Sorry, hope you're understanding and quick solution of this problem. Looking forward to your reply in the future. Yours faithfully, and then the person's name. Oh dear. Hope people enjoyed that reading in a Matt Berry type style. Laszlo Cravensworth. Of course, they didn't go down too well, and look, I've sort of seen some similar accounts with similar names to that, and I kind of feel like maybe there's like a bunch of bot accounts created on this person. I don't know 100%. I can't confirm that. It's just a case of like, if you type in something to that effect, you get a load of kind of bot accounts. Just saying, possibly not. But it's interesting nevertheless with it. I like the response from the sport using ChatGPT. There we go. In the spirit of suspense, we won't spoil the ending by revealing the mysterious reasons behind your account block just yet. Anticipation is key, isn't it? We love that. As Rohith says, otherwise I'll be forced to look for alternative services that will not violate my rights and question my data. That's the best one. And then we've got Mike saying, hey, the best way to get your account unblocked is go back in time and not cheat, or you can send a wire transfer. Either way, it's going to cost you at least $1 million. Yes, do that. I don't think they would be open to do that, because it would just, it'd be naughty. It'd be naughty. And Jack's coming in with a, hey, don't do that. I love that. I love that GIF. I need to kind of like have that as like a pop-up for like live streams. Hey, don't do that. As the, when people kind of like do super chats or donations or something. I'm gonna try and see if I can say, I'll save that, and then see if I can save that, and then see if I can add it to it. I like that. I like Jack's pointing. Hey, don't do that. Anyway, we've got to end the show, or not end the show, but before we go into arena predictions and results, we've got to talk about Paragon Gauntlet glitch, the sort of thing that we've been looking at, whether or not it will have compensation. As I did say, this is, you know, you can get enraged about it, annoyed about it, but this is on Kabam to kind of like figure out what they're doing with like the ecosystem of not inflating, but allowing players to get more rewards from it, and whether or not they're going to take action with it. So the thing that I find a bit weird about this is the answer. So TLDR for this is that players were potentially rumored to be able to access, not rumored because we did see evidence, people were able to re-access the Paragon Gauntlet and potentially getting more rewards. Was this kind of like dealt with very quickly? Kind of, yeah. Kabam kind of were in to kind of like sort it out, but there were players out there that were able to get multiple amounts of rewards, and that ain't good, really. That ain't good, bruv, because there's some nice rewards that do sit within the Paragon Gauntlet. Is it completely game-breaking? Again, debatable with this stuff. There's some nice stuff that you kind of got from it. Kabam took very different actions when it came to previous events like Mutant Treasure Island, but Kabam are kind of treating this in a kind of this is a different situation. So rather than going too in deep in like backwards and forwards of what like players are saying, as I said, Kabam are the ones that need to respond back to this, and they have, or give an indication of how they tend to deal with this, how they want to deal with this one. So Jack says this is not an issue we have any intention of actioning on. After analysing the reaches of this bug, the game team has concluded that the impact is not large enough to warrant any further action, so likely no bans, no compensation. We've talked in the forums before about how why not me mentality is not ever going to be a strong enough case for action. Additionally, I've seen the calls for consistency when dealing with these things. Again, talking about the idea of like, okay, well, in previous events, you dealt with Mutant Treasure Island in a certain way that, like, you know, people got banned. And to be honest, there isn't a way to establish 100% consistency. We've chatted before about how we will approach issues like this on a case-by-case basis. We need the ability to analyze every situation to decide the impact on the contest, and cannot back ourselves into a corner by trying to establish a set like this. If we allow 100% ground rules for summoners, many will dive in when they think they have an opportunity to exploit a bug without repercussions. You absolutely need to accept the inherent risk associated with these behaviors if you wish to carry on this mentality towards the contest. This is a closed case. We will not be commenting any further. I hope this provides closure for those that need it. Well, not particularly. I suppose that's the thing of going like, I know Kabam have said that like this is not large enough, but there's a difference between what the rewards are for Paragon Gauntlet, what impact they will have. You know, if you're giving an extra tier 6 basic, tier 3 alpha, then that's kind of like something that's sort of meta. If Titan Crystal Shards are meta within the Paragon Gauntlet, I can't remember at the moment what's in the Paragon Gauntlet, but if it is, then it's a case of like, that's still meta. I have a bit of an issue with allowing meta-based rewards to be given out to players, or not given out, but I have a problem with them being reaccessible, you know, exploitable. It's not fair. Those Titan Crystal Shards are rare within this game. Some of the items, that's the code word there, some items within the Paragon Gauntlet are very rare to get. Some, kind of like, I could probably say if it's an extra tier 6 basic and tier 3 alpha to players, you know, I could potentially look the other way. If it's a 6-star Nexus for me as well, again, being a Paragon player that's kind of like just about to do Necropolis, I go, well, 6 stars aren't really kind of like super meta, but the difference is if you pick up something that's going to be able to help you through Necropolis, then it's a different story. But, you know, again, we're focusing on that being RNG. But as I said, for me, it's when you've got meta rewards being reaccessible to players, and that gets them closer to a Titan Crystal. If they're closer to a Titan Crystal, then they're closer to the next Titan Crystal. And if they're closer to, you see what I mean? Like, they become closer to something, which that won't be particularly fair. But if Kabam is saying that it's like it's not a large amount of the community, this conclude as impact is not large enough to warrant any further action. But still, if all those people were Paragon, then that affects Paragon. Yes, it's not large, but it's like it still affects Paragon players from a point of, as I said, more spicy things, more meta-based rewards are given out and given an opportunity. I don't know if this was the right answer to this, but it's an answer nevertheless, and I think it will just be something that sadly will be forgotten about in future months, unless it rears its ugly head again. But I hope that Kabam decide they're going to deal with it. Consistency is always an issue with Kabam. The problem is Kabam are never consistent, and as well you look at the situation of, hey, did you see any bans after the results of Battlegrounds when people were potentially being kind of farming those points in? I know plenty of people that did farm points, using the methods, which Kabam said they may or may not ban against. Probably going to do a video separately about that one. Again, this is, yeah, as much as Kabam say we can't be consistent on stuff, you talk about taking action against people. Well, we're somewhat going to take action against people, but we're not. Don't do bad things, but you need to accept the inherent risk associated with these behaviors you wish to carry out this mentality towards the contest. So don't do the things. So I think we'd Kabam, consistently inconsistent. I think we all know that. I wouldn't say that after 8 years, 9 years, 10 years next year, that it's gonna and everything's gonna change. It's consistently inconsistent. And now let's end the show with arena results and predictions for Kushala and that guy Adam Warlock. I don't have that funny thing to. So I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody that submitted results. It's probably one of the best results collections of data that I've seen from you all in such a long time. So thank you so much. We had so much. The Kushala arena, I had to be like really specific. So apologies if your score's not up here. It's just a case of like there were so many, and yeah, like we just needed some very kind of key specific results. But thank you again, everybody. Thank you. So Kushala. Position 4, Slayer of Gods, actually got that one there, 220 mil, and when you go down, you'll see that like the little amounts of like changes that are there. By at least 9 mil, you'll see the change between position 88 and position 141. You then look at position 217 with 135 mil, and just 4 mil is enough to kind of like change that by about 23 places. So it's just that small margin of change. And then of course, close to the cutoff at 377, 104 mil. So it was quite a low, for the lowest amount. I'm not saying it's super low, but it's like what I'm saying is it's low. And again, a 5-star was 27 mil. Lowest, highest, 36 mil. Adam Warlock, on the other hand, 31.1 mil, position 183. And I actually need to change that because I've put 387. No, it's 187. You can see there. That was just a change of about 60,000 points. But, that's a 4-position change. 20 mil got 386th position. Somebody was disappointed at 18.9 mil with position 414, and 10 mil got a 5-star version. My predictions for round 2 are as follows. I'm going with 110 mil for 6-star Kushala, 27 mil for the 5-star, 21 mil for 6-star Adam Warlock, and 10 mil for a 5-star Adam Warlock. Anyway, thanks again to everybody that submitted results. I will see you later on in the live stream. I don't know when I'm going to live stream, but it will just be a case of let everybody know within like an hour or something. But it could be about 8 PM UK time. It could be, which then is what, 12 midday PST time. I'm not 100% sure on when I'm going to live stream. I want to get some videos done that I kind of put off over the weekend whilst I chilled. So yeah, look out for that, and check out some other content located on screen. Have a lovely day. That's been your MCN. That's you being well informed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.